I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. You could tell everybody. You could tell everybody that this unwarranted criticism of Steph Curry needs to stop. Once again, we talk about LeBron being the gold standard of the NBA, whether you love him, hate him, he's a flop, he's the greatest, he's the worst, MJ versus LeBron, whatever. Whatever you want to bring to the table with your argument. But LeBron is the gold standard in the NBA. We've seen it, we've heard it. LeBron's carried his team to finals, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. He's won finals with Anthony Davis, who's going to be a Hall of Fame player. Chris Bosh, who's a Hall of Fame player. Dwayne Wade, who's going to be a Hall of Fame player. Kyrie Irving's going to be a Hall of Fame player. Kevin Love is a borderline Hall of Fame player. Probably not going to make it. But let's not act like he played with scrubs. Steph Curry has carried this team. Yeah, I know. Draymond Green's on it. Somewhere in the long of lines, Draymond Green went from a formidable, and apparently formidable is the word of the day today too, formidable three-point shooter, a formidable offensive presence, to completely lackluster, invisible ghost, where it's like the Warriors are playing 5-on-4, or 4-on-5, I should say, on the offensive side of the ball. Now, obviously, Draymond Green still does a great job facilitating the ball in the offense, but as a scoring threat, he is non-existent. You take a look at the rest of his team. Andrew Wiggins, yes, he's probably had the best year of his career, but also came with a lot of inconsistency. Kelly Oubre, very inconsistent this year. Jordan Poole, before mid-season last year, unless you were a Michigan Wolverines fan, you had no idea who Jordan Poole was. And now you're trying to tell me that he has help with Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, Juan Toscano Anderson. These are guys that on any other team are lucky to be solid role players. That's exactly what Kelly Oubre was. He was a solid role player. Andrew Wiggins, even though he was selected number 1 overall, he hasn't lived up to the billing. I'm not going to call him a bust, but he hasn't lived up to the billing of being a number 1. But Andrew Wiggins last year, and this is last year with Andrew Wiggins, shot 33% from three-point range, 45.7% from the field. This year, 38% from three-point range, 47.7% from the field. And if you don't think Steph Curry being the engine that makes the Warriors go has a lot to do with Andrew Wiggins having the most efficient season in his career, then clearly you do not watch basketball. You want Steph Curry to carry a team? What are we even talking about? Because he carried a team. This was a 15-50 team last year. 15-50. A 2-3-1 win percentage. They were dead last year in offensive rating. Bottom 5 in defensive rating. Bottom 5 in points per game and opponents' points per game last year. This year, with relatively the same team, with a sprinkle in of James Wiseman and a sprinkle in of Kelly Oubre. The difference between last year's team that went 15-50 and this year's team is Steph Curry. So say what you want, but Steph Curry has shown the ability to win it. He brought a team that was 15 and 50, dead last in the NBA, into the 8th spot in the Western Conference. Now, did they make the postseason? No. But that's because of the whole play-in situation. If this was 2 years ago, before the bubble, before the play-in tournament existed, we would absolutely be talking about how great Steph Curry is. But since it's 2 years later with the play-in game and the fact that they lost to a finally healthy Lakers team by 3 points, who, I don't know, is favored over the number 2 Suns, who has a Coach of the Year candidate, who has an MVP type of candidate in CP3. But yet LeBron and the Lakers, when healthy in a 7th seed, are favored over a number 2 seed. Yeah, they lost to that team. And then going against a Grizzlies team where Steph Curry was abysmal in the first half, really had a great second half, but ultimately fell short against the Grizzlies because he made the right pass in a double team late in the fourth quarter to Draymond Green, who instead of looking for contact, instead of going strong to the hole, decided to throw up the ugliest floater I've seen in my life. Steph Curry has carried a team to the 8th seed in the playoffs if this was 2 years ago. But what about LeBron? He's not on LeBron's level. LeBron carries the team all the time. Let me take you back before the Lakers had Anthony Davis. Let me take you back to 2018, 2019. LeBron and the Lakers were 20 and 14. 20 and 14 when LeBron went down with injury. They went 6 of 11 without him. And when he came back, they were 26 and 25. Now, obviously, LeBron shut it down for the end of the season with the playoffs being out of the reach. This Lakers team with LeBron down to 2018, 2019 stretch went 8 and 13. 8 and 13. 8 wins, 13 losses. With LeBron, quote unquote, carrying a team. Now, if you want to use injury as an excuse, that's fine. But he was out there playing. If he can be out there playing, then he can carry his team. Now let's take a look at the Warriors, who at one point were 23 and 27. Steph Curry went on a hot streak, averaging nearly 37 points per game, en route to a 16 and 6 record, and pulling this team into the 8th spot into the playoffs, into the play-in game. And if it was 2 years ago, they'd be in the first round playing against the Utah Jazz. So don't tell me he hasn't carried a team. Because this 37 points per game in the last 22 games of the season, where they went 16 and 6, a 73% win percentage, that's carrying a team. And if you actually watch the game, he was doubled and tripled. You know why? Because nobody cared about leaving Draymond Green open. Nobody cared about leaving Jordan Poole open. Nobody cared about leaving Andrew Wiggins open. Eric Pascal, Kent Bazemore, Juan Toscano Anderson. Nobody cared about leaving those guys open. Michael Mulder. There was no threat on that team outside of Steph Curry. Yet it took every little bit, every little bit of Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook to secure the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, an easier conference. Steph Curry went 39-33 with this team that was 15-50 last year. And at one point this season, about the midway point of the season, where the Warriors were 19-18, a game above 500. So right after 37 games, right around halfway through the season, actually halfway through the season, according to Andrew Bailey, the Warriors' point differential with Curry on the floor is hovering around the range of a 48-win team in a regular season 82-game season. It's around the range of a 16-win team when Steph Curry is off the floor. Steph Curry has the most points total in the fourth quarter. Steph Curry is the team where last year they went 15-50, averaged 106.3 points per game, good for 28th out of 30. Opponents' points per game, 115, that's good for 24th out of 30. Offensive rating, dead last at 105.2. Defensive rating, 113.8, 26 out of 30. This year, with not much changing other than the fact that Steph Curry is back and healthy, they went 39-3 in a tough Western Conference, including 16-6 down the stretch, with Steph Curry averaging over 37 points per game. Their points per game this year, 113.7, good for 12th in the league, compared to last year where it was 28th. Their defense allowed 112.7 points per game, good for 18th, better than last year's 24th. Their offensive rating went from dead last to 20th, 111.1. Their defensive rating went from 26th to 5th at 110.1. So if you want to say Steph Curry missed the postseason and unable to carry his team, what are we really talking about? Because if this was 2 years ago, he'd be in the postseason. And guess what? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, your king, LeBron James, went 8-3 down the stretch in 28 of 27 overall, a game over 500. A game over 500. With Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram on his team. With Kyle Kuzma on his team. You're going to really sit there and try to tell me that those guys aren't better than Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Jordan Poole, Juan Toscano-Anderson, a rookie James Wiseman who halfway through the season got injured? And not only that, didn't play his college season at all at Memphis? This roster, this Golden State roster, and I hate to be this guy because these players are in the NBA, and I'm just on air talking about the NBA. But David Blaine, David Copperfield, whatever magician you want to use, could not elevate this roster. But guess what? Steph Curry did. And if it was 2 years ago, they'd be facing the Utah Jazz in the first round of the playoffs. So let's drop this narrative that Steph Curry can't carry a team. There's a reason Damian Lillard has so much respect for Steph Curry. Now, the way that he said it about Steph Curry was because he was trying to make his own case in what he looks at. But Ja Morant put Steph Curry in the MVP consideration. LeBron James, your king, put Steph Curry in the MVP conversation. Other players around the NBA, the National Basketball Association, has elevated Steph Curry in a year where they went 39-3 and were supposed to be the 8th seed, if not for a play-in tournament, elevated him into the MVP conversation. So for the fact that you said he can't carry a team, that he shouldn't be in MVP conversation, clearly you don't watch basketball. Clearly you don't understand how poor offensively, defensively this team was without Steph Curry on the floor. To the point where if you even go back, I don't even want to make you go back through the whole regular season. Go back against that game against the Lakers, who were out of sync, out of sorts, where Steph Curry was doing everything he could, took a slight break with the lead, but had to be forced back into the lineup. Couldn't sit on the bench for 2 seconds without the Lakers ultimately taking the lead and winning the game. Just go back to that game and watch how crucial it is to have Steph Curry play basically every minute of every game, because when he's not on the floor, this team falters. This team has a point differential in the range of a 16-win team when Steph Curry is off the floor. So stop that narrative.